see the anti-abortion bill as a setup for the black race. Not only just for the black race, but of course for everybody. But um, there'll be very hard consequences, especially for the black race, as it is now. Um, it just seems, to me, it seems like a very clever tactic. And evidently it had to be mastered, you know, well thought out. And you have to have patience for it to work. Because in time, it works itself. So if you build it, you know, the people will come and they'll move in and they'll enjoy their stay, not knowing that it's a trap. So, and even the ones who do realize that it's a trap are very comfortable in the trap. They've come to accept that this is what it is. And so they don't have a problem with staying in that trap. They made it work for them. And the twist to that is that every beautiful thing came from something ugly. Ugly, ugly. Very ugly. And it had to start off ugly because it was new. Anything new is gonna look rough. It's gonna feel tough, and it's gonna be hard to accept because it's new. You know, but if it has promise to be beautiful, something that you can deal with, something that it'll benefit you, even if it's imaginary, you know, you can live in your paradise comfortably if you choose to stay in this state of mind. And to me, that is cheating yourself because you're not you. You're someone else's idea of you. And that alone doesn't speak well about yourself, to yourself. And once you are real with yourself, it's either out of ignorance that you accept it, or it's out of weakness that you accept it, you know? And, or it could be a mixture of both for some people. Sad to say the least. But that tells you that, maybe those things that you feel comfortable in, one day someone or something could threaten that. And where would that leave you? But in a groveling state, in a pitiful state. So it's like, what are you going to do? You going to fight back? Or are you just going to be bullied? So if you don't build yourself mentally enough to stand it, fight it, endure it, then you're walking into a gunfight with your knife. And, history shows that not unless you have a massive crew behind you and some serious skills, you're not going to win this war. So, that's and what's sad is that these are the people who control your mind. That's pretty sad. Like, doesn't anyone else see this as something wrong? That you can't even think for yourself? And you have parents who don't give their children a chance to think things through, and that's why they can never succeed in anything without always running to their parents or someone. I need help. I don't know how to do the simplest things. The simplest things. And then we find a crutch on top of that bull crap. You find another crutch to say, well, I have a belief system. And so you go into this imaginary land and you only read certain selections, but you never read cover to cover, literally. And that's insane to me. If somebody follows it, if somebody says they believe it, if somebody says they fully understand it, because without those things, why are you in it? It must be fear. Fear of facing yourself. Fear of facing the things that we know we do wrong. We know we're guilty of them, but our pride stops us from saying, you know what, I'm sorry I did that. I am sorry. I was sorry. I was in a sorry state of mind to do that, to betray you in some kind of way. Whether it be a lie or whatever the case may be. That's a sorry state of mind. Manipulation, that's a sorry state of mind. And these things are seen as okay. It's okay to do this. How's that okay other than you living in an illusion? You living in a land that's not real. And you fail to own up to when you do something wrong. You fail to be the human being that you're supposed to be. And and to me, it's just, that's insane. When you can't say, I did this. If you can't show yourself to say that, you know what, I'm sorry that I apologize, or, I was wrong about so and so and so. I didn't really think about that. I didn't think it through. But now that I've gotten a chance to think about it, I understand what you're saying, even though you don't agree with their conclusion. It's not about agreeing, but it is about understanding, and understanding is for self. Understanding is to, let me get this person. Let me get this person for me, for my understanding, because I don't want to see them as something that they're not. So you got to look at the ugly, whatever that may be, whatever affects you, whatever hits you in a negative way or unbalanced way. Then you got to check yourself and say, why did that bother me? Because it might not always be that other person. Most times, it's not that other person. It's their understanding of things, their level of consciousness. And if you're not there, then you won't understand and you won't accept, because you're battling with your own mind. And a part of your mind, because you lack that experience or knowledge of some kind, can't get you to open up enough to say, think about this. If I were in your shoes, what would I have done? And that in itself gets us to open up our mind a little bit more to accept others, accept things we don't understand, accept different, accept odd or awkward or weird or whatever, strange, whatever the case may be, different, normal, whatever. Accept that this is how this person is because this is what they're showing you. And even the things that they don't show you, you should see because it's there. And the only reason why we choose not to see is because we choose to have certain beliefs. And if we can't accept somebody for being who they are, something's wrong with us. When it comes to a point where these beliefs become actions, that's when there's a real problem going on. And that's when humanity has become vile and disgusting and not even worthy of understanding anything, of breathing, like just nothing, because you don't care. Then why are you here? Do yourself a favor. Either learn or learn to respect other people's space and privacy and thoughts without you taking it in a negative way, without you showing your ignorance, because the world can do without ignorance. And the passing on of this knowledge, lack thereof, is, to me, neglect. I think that's neglect. The worst neglect is mental. And that should be what should be behind bars, if anything, because that's the most powerful thing you can control is someone's mind. That in itself is evil, because you're locking someone by trickery or by will or by, just like, hey, I don't care. Sure. Some people are naive like that. That's okay too. That's what they truly choose in life. I don't knock anybody for what they decide to do, as long as it's by will, their will. Because if it's not by their will, then that's when a crime is happening. And that's a real crime. And it should be spoken out against. Every time. Every time. And everyone deserves to have knowledge. I understand some things may be sacred. Some things are not supposed to be spoken about. But it's the things that we don't speak about are the things that's ruining this world and marching it straight into the damn sea, into the abyss. And what's crazy about it is everyone's smiling, knowing that they're about to be drowned. Everyone's smiling. walking straight into the sea as if they don't see it. My theory is they don't see it. That's just my theory. They don't see it. I personally have a name for it. I call it Godspell. Instead of gospel, it's a God spell. It is the God spell. And it puts you under a state of mind of dependency, weakness, and fear. And that's pretty creepy to me. That's the most creepiest thing that could ever happen to someone, is to be living in an illusion that's a fairy tale. And it's, as much as you try to tell someone that, hey, why don't you just read it for yourself? Like really read it, just without bias. Try to put in your mind like this is just a book, and then read it. And you might be shocked. You might shock yourself. Just try it. Try reading it for once, and maybe your thoughts will really change. But the problem is that people don't want to read. People don't want to take the time out to think about things because we don't have time. We don't have time because we have to constantly make money. We have to constantly make money because we have to live. And some of us want to live nice. Some of us don't care. Some of us like, I'm good with whatever. And some of us do it for the future. So it's like, if you really do want to have something that you can pass down, you do have to work very hard for it, extremely hard. And I get what Steve Harvey was talking about. Like, you don't get no sleep. For him, and for many of us who do try really hard, like really, really hard, just being ourselves, hoping that'll get us somewhere. And it sometimes do, but then you have someone again controlling your mind and telling you how to be. I like your personality, but I would like you to play the part that I have for you. So now this is your personality supposed to be. You got to put on the front for everybody. And the only time you can be yourself is behind closed doors. And that's only if you by yourself. And you're comfortable with yourself. Then you can truly be yourself. And that's sad. That we can't be ourselves. I think that's really sad. Because you have people who are gonna harm you, or again cause some kind of action. Because they can't accept what someone else says or feel or think. That's pretty sad. But of course they would want that in return. But how can you want something that you're not given? And this is why I call this the Twilight Zone. I feel like I'm in the Twilight Zone. This is pretty sad.